Why a white lady just told me I was white? Girl, no. So I just went to the store and I'm standing in the checkout line and this lady finna check me out and then she look up and she's like, "How you doing?" And I'm like, "Hey, like, just check my shit out, bitch. I'm ready to go home." Like, honestly, I don't need y'all to be friendly when you checking me out. You already see I'm buying pads, bitch. I'm having a bad day. Bag my shit. So she looks at me and she's like, "Oh, your braids are so pretty." Okay. Mind you, she an old white woman, so I'm like, "Thank you." Then she do what the typical white woman do. "Oh, did they hurt? Like, are they hurting right now?" And I'm like, "No, they're not." Then she goes, "Yeah, when I was in Jamaica, like, I got braids just the front and they were pulling my hair so hard." And I'm like, "It just hurt so bad." And I think they were mad at me in the first place. That's why she was being rude on my head because, like us, we're not supposed to get us. Do I really deceive the whites to thinking I'm white? I have a Negro nose. Hold on. Then she goes, "Yeah, maybe it's because, like, I don't know. What do you mean? What do you mean?" Then she goes, "Or maybe it's because, like, she wanted me to pay $40, but I bargained her to 20. They don't really like that." They? Oh, okay. And I'm looking at her the whole time like this. Because I'm really confused at the point that you said us. Okay.
Okay, now y'all know I really only wear my hair in braids now. Okay, for a couple of years now, I am not straightening my hair or anything, right? So, I've had a lot of interactions where white people have complimented my hair. I will tell y'all, I used to be a bartender years ago, and white men got jungle fever or something because they love braids. They be like, "Oh my god, like, I love your hair." Like, one time I had some box braids that was hanging on by a thread. Like, them things was so old, they was tore up, right? And this white guy was like, "Oh my god, your hair is so beautiful." And I was like, I'm actually about to get it, changed because this looks terrible." He was like, "No, don't change it, don't change it." I was like, "Oh, like, what the heck?" Right? But anyway, my point is this. I've gotten a lot of comments about my hair from white people. And they have never been comments where anyone mistaked me as being anything other than black. There was never a comment like, "Oh, why do you have those braids? We're not supposed to get them." There was never a comment like that. Because when people look at me, no matter what, all of the time, no questions asked, they see a black person, okay? So we're going to get into this. And of course, we're going to hurt some feelings as always, but it is what it is. Now, y'all know I'm a just flower. I'm an honest tower. So I'm going to tell you, looking at this woman, she does not look completely white. I will say that, right? But she definitely looks more white than black, okay? Now, again, looking at her, it's clear that she has some black in her. Like she pointed out, she has a wider nose like a black person. She also has bigger lips. And in my experience, I've only seen that eye color on mixed people. I don't really see that eye color on white people. But to be fair, I don't be around that many white people, and I'm sure they do have green eyes. So I don't know, right? But quite clearly, she does have like a black person nose and bigger lips. So when you look at her, you kind of do take a second look, right? But she definitely looks more white than black, okay? So I would, go so far as to assume she's a biracial who is more on the whiter side. Like, there are some biracials who look straight up biracial, right? Like, flat out in the middle. Like, Zendaya looks biracial. There are some biracials who look blacker. Like, Barack Obama looks blacker, right? Then there are some biracials who look whiter. Like, this woman definitely looks like she's on the whiter end of the biracial spectrum. Now, I'm going to tell y'all the truth, okay? Either she's like a biracial or she may even be like a quadroon or something. Like, I wouldn't be shocked if Drake's son came out looking kind of like this. But she look a little too, like, a little too mixed up with black to be a quadroon, in my opinion. Because Drake's son looked flat out white. It ain't even like, oh, he has a black nose or anything. No, that boy is white. So she don't look flat out white. Like, if you look at her quick, like, imagine if she had like a blonde wig on or something. If you looked at her quick, she'd look like a white woman, right? But then if you sat there and stared, you might be like, there's something a little bit off. Like, something is a little bit off there. Maybe she's not completely white, right? But my point is this, okay? And y'all gonna be mad as usual, but that ain't gonna stop the truth, okay? Why do we pretend that people like this are as black as people like me. I don't get that. Like, if I sit here and say that this woman is clearly not as black as me, y'all gonna be like, oh my God, blackness comes in all shades. Blackness is diverse, so and so and so. This woman looks off-white. She definitely, like I said, if you look at her quick and look away, that look like a white woman. But, you know, if you sit there and stare for a little while, something might, you know, pop up and you be like, oh, maybe she's not completely white. You know, like, I don't get why. No, I do get why, okay? Black people have this thing where they insist that somebody like this who is damn near white is a black person and is just as black as anybody else. And we're going to have a whole conversation about this because this is a really big thing in the black community. There is a reason that black people pretend that blackness is diverse and blackness comes in all shades and yada, 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 so and so and so, right? Because most black people have a really serious inferiority complex. And that's not surprising, right? We live in a world with Eurocentric standards of beauty. Whiteness is viewed as the best. Therefore, things that are, you know, close to whiteness are perceived as better than things that are black, right? That's why black people are so pressed to embrace people who are close to whiteness as black, because they wish blackness looked like that. Okay, these people wish that blackness was pretty much white skin. Like her skin, I wouldn't even call her light skin. That's pretty much like off-white. That's cream colored skin, right? You know, very loose hair, hazel eyes. You know, like that's what a lot of black people wish that blackness was, because these are the features that are promoted on TV. People don't put people like me on TV saying, oh, this is beautiful. Somebody with dark skin and kinky hair and so and so. That's never been the standard of beauty, right? So a lot of black people are pressed to pretend that blackness looks like that because that's their standard of beauty and they want proximity to that. Now, this is the thing. In order to have a full, complete conversation about this, we got to talk about the hate of my life, the one drop rule, right? So during slavery, of course, white enslavers were raping enslaved black women. And a lot of times, biracial children would be the result of that, right? So these biracial children said, well, we're not black, so we should not be enslaved. And I'm not mad at them for that, because, baby, I would have said the same exact thing. Like, who want to be enslaved? I would have used any excuse there was, right? But this was the thing. White people responded to this by saying, well, you're not good enough to be white because you've been polluted with blackness. Blackness is inferior. One drop of it makes you black. It's that bad, right? That's what this one drop rule and this concept of anybody being black comes from. So people like this were forced into the black community because white people said they're not good enough to be white. Now, do you think that these people just assimilated into the black community and were like, oh, you know, blackness comes in all shades, right? No, these people invented things like the paper bag test, you know, the Blue Vein Society, etc., etc., etc. Different things that help to ostracize actual black people. So if you couldn't pass a paper bag test, you were not allowed into, for example, a lot of the D9, the black fraternities and sororities. If you were not white enough, if you didn't have enough proximity to whiteness, you would not be allowed into black upper society. So the upper society of black people became these non-black people. These non-black people were forced into the black community, but they made sure that within the black community, they were at the top. Now, this is my thing. As an African American, a lot of our families have different shades, because even somebody like me who's clearly black, I have some white in me due to the rape that my ancestors endured during transatlantic slavery, right? So as African Americans, yeah, our families do have different shades. Like, my dad is darker than me. My sister, I think I'm darker than her, but my brother says she's darker than me. But then my mom and my brother are like, they're like a flat brown. They're a little bit lighter than me. My other brother is kind of light skinned, right? My thing is this. There's going to be some variation in shades within every African American family, right? But, and I made a video about this. I'll put the link to that video up here, okay? If everybody in your family is high yellow, then that's not a coincidence, because this is the truth. The majority of African Americans look like me. Now, y'all like to pretend that's not the case. Y'all like to only put biracials on TV to represent us and try to erase what is actually going on. But I grew up in Detroit around African Americans. I will tell you right now, when you go to Detroit or any other predominantly African American city, the majority of African Americans look like me. Therefore, it's not even statistically possible for your whole family to look like the minority of black people. This is not possible. possible unless you went out of your way to make sure that was the case. And oftentimes people did that. A lot of mixed up people made sure to only have children with other mixed up people so that they could maintain their privilege in society. That's the reality. So if you look at your family tree and you high yellow, both your parents high yellow, all your grandparents high yellow, all your great grandparents high yellow, then that was on purpose. There is no way, like, again, it's one thing if you got, a couple yellow folks in your family, the way genes come out, whatever, it happens. My auntie is a little bit light skinned, right? It happens. But again, it's a whole other thing if your whole family is or mixed up. Like that statistically is not possible. And that goes back to my point. The only way that would have happened is if these people were like, okay, we see our privilege in society and we want to maintain this privilege. Therefore, we will continue to have children with people who look like us. And that is where this concept of multi-generationally mixed people come from. Like Steph Curry and Aisha Curry. Look at them. You think those are black people? Look at their kid. Now, I don't know how their parents look, but if their parents look like them, and it's not like, like them genes happen to come out random, even though, both of their parents look black, then that was done on purpose. Now, let me give y'all an example of something, because y'all know y'all staying on my channel. Blackness comes in all shades. Blackness is diverse. Okay, let's just look at it logically. Let's approach this with some common sense, okay? Let's pretend that I had a child with a white man, okay? Do you think that my child would come out looking like Bernie Mac or Zac Efron? Probably not. The child is more likely going to come out looking like a mixture of me and the white father, right? So it most likely is not going to have dark skin like mine, but it also probably isn't going to have white skin like the dad, right? It's probably going to come out intermediate, and not just with its skin color, with all of its features. It's probably not going to have kinky hair like mine. It probably won't have straight hair like the dad. It'll probably have, like a looser, wavy hair texture, okay? So my point is this, right? We can clearly acknowledge that certain features, like these lighter skin colors, these looser hair textures, did not come from blackness, right? We can acknowledge that, but y'all will sit here and still pretend that somebody with those features is just as black as somebody who ain't got those features. You can clearly sit there and say, well, Flower Tower, if you had a child with a white man, the child is not going to look like you. It's not going to come out with dark skin and kinky hair. It's not, because those are black features, and this child is not fully black. It's going to have some different features because of the mixture with whiteness, right? But then y'all will sit here and say that blackness is diverse, blackness come in all shades, so, right? And then let's take it a step further. Let's pretend that my mixed child went and had a child with another mixed person, right? So now their child technically doesn't have a white parent, right? Y'all would especially be calling them black. Y'all be like, well, they ain't got no white parent. Darn, black and coming all day. Darn. Even though you know good and well that those intermediate features that these people have did not come from blackness. And just because two mixed people have a kid don't mean the kid is black. The kid is still mixed. Anyway, back to the woman who made this video. I don't get why people be lying to themselves. Like, girl, you've seen a mirror before. You know good and well when you look in the mirror, you don't see a black person. Now, that's not to say you see a completely white person, but you definitely look more white than black. So why did you make this video acting like you look fresh off the boat or something? I'm confused. I don't get it, because I feel like y'all be trying to prove a point about your non-existent blackness. This person mistake me as white. Maybe it's because you damn near look white. Did you think we was about to be like Melanin Queen? How could they? Girl, what?